Welcome to Within the Frame, where we bring the most pressing issues across the globe into focus. I'm Kim Mok-yeon. As Korean culture takes center stage globally and Korean Americans gain ground politically in their home country, a key figure, voice, stands at the intersection of identity, diplomacy, and policy. In Washington state, she's made history as the most elected Korean American public official, now serving her 8th term in the state legislature. From landmark legislation like Kimchi Day to tax exemptions for taekwondo academies, her work has helped write Korean identity into state law, all while mentoring a rising wave of Korean American leaders. Today, in an exclusive conversation, we sit down with Washington State Representative Cindy Ryu to talk about power, policy, and what's next for Korean American political influence in the United States. A big welcome.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you for joining us. So let's start right away. We hear that you served 8 consecutive terms in the Washington State House. That's absolutely incredible. So what first pulled you into politics, and what do you think keeps voters coming back?
Yeah. So more than 20 years ago, when I was attending the Shoreline City Council meetings as the incoming chamber president, I was challenged by the then mayor saying, just go away. And so I decided to look into that city council. And as to what keeps motivating me and the voters to pay attention, I guess, is that as the Technology, Economic Development, and Veterans Committee Chair, I tend to take on long-range issues such as increasing digital connectivity and for keeping our Washington State a national leader in quantum computing. And most importantly, of course, is that it's my relationship with the voters. And I've been on the ballot many times and winning most of the time, not always, with the same message of I am one of you. And in addition, of course, I've been a resident of my legislative district for more than 40 years, as well as raising my 3 children in the schools, in the public schools, and have been a local business owner and a taxpayer.
Wow. So I am one of you. It might have resonated a lot to American voters as well. And that kind of consistency actually speaks volumes, especially in a diverse state like Washington. So now, as a Korean American lawmaker, what does actually being a bridge between the U.S. and Korea actually mean to you? Are there any stand-up policies that could highlight that role?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been living in Washington State for more than 50 years, but I previously was born in Seoul, as well as lived there until 4th grade, and Brunei and the Philippines. And I continue to enjoy travel, especially coming back to Korea. And so I think that gives me a broad view of the world, and I am better able to serve as a bridge. I've introduced bills bills for Kimchi Day to recognize Kimchi Day in Washington State, and successfully passed, as you mentioned, a tax exemption for taekwondo dojang, as well as other martial arts academies. And also, even though I'm not a drinker, I've passed a Korean culture appropriate regulation and licensing of soju, or serving soju in Korean restaurants. And especially because education, public safety, consumer protection, and business continuity are especially important to Korean Americans, I've supported funding our schools, passed increasing accountability for hate crimes, and I am now working on a vandalism and theft of critical infrastructure bill to respond to copper wire thefts, which disrupt a lot of critical infrastructure, cutting of optic wires, fibers, and disruption of a power distribution and transmission.
Wow, so very valuable efforts that you've done over there. So now I wonder, what are the impacts of these kinds of efforts on the Korean American community and also the political landscape in Washington?
Yes, that soju bill, which I don't drink, that both significantly decreased the licensing fees for Korean restaurants while making it possible for our enforcers to enforce our liquor laws, especially on overservice as well as underage drinking. And so now Korean restaurants now have that right size oversight, as well as, of course, their responsibilities clearly spelled out. And so I will continue to encourage local organizations that are promoting Korean business and culture, including working closely with the Seattle Korean consulate located in Seattle for the 5 Northwest states. I'll, of course, reintroduce Kimchi Day bill, which hasn't passed yet. And during floor action days, immediately to the floor, House floor, I will once again serve extra fermented kimchi on top of crackers lined with cheese so that everyone can smell it and enjoy it and know that when they can come and get it.
Wow, I can't imagine. Did you taste it yourself?
Oh, it's great.
Oh, it's great.
Yes.
I must try it. Okay. So, yeah, it's really powerful to see how, culture can become actually policy in Washington. Now, these days, Korean wave has become bigger than ever. And also thanks to, K-content like K-pop Demon Hunters, it's really making waves. So, how can this cultural buzz actually turn into political influence?
Absolutely. So because these are difficult and divisive times, K-pop, K-food, K-culture, and all things K has been, including visiting Korea, teaching in Korea, or working in Korea, has actually become a safe topic of conversation. And so Korean language schools, you may have heard, is very popular overseas because they want to understand what those K-pop music is about, as well as, of course, trying to understand the K-movies and dramas better. Frequently, I also describe how my 4th grade Korean has improved tremendously. Originally, I watched the K-dramas with the English subtitles on. I have now graduated to turning the Korean subtitles on. And so my hope is that it becomes a practice that more Americans take on to emulate me, so they can both hear as well as understand Korean first, and then eventually, hopefully, they can learn to read Korean. And so lastly, I believe those of us in office can be the bridge to Korean content and culture while also being very fully engaged, successful, and dependably trusted as local politicians and policymakers.
Mm-hmm. So let's hope for these opportunities to actually be visible in terms of leadership. Now let's zoom out a little bit. So the number and the influence of Korean American politicians in the U.S. are steadily growing, which is a very wonderful achievement. Since you're the most elected Korean American politician in Washington, where do you see the biggest changes? And also, could you tell us the areas of growth in Korean American political power?
Absolutely. So according to the Korean American Institute, a total of 248, it's very few, but 248 Americans of Korean ancestry have held elected office at all levels of government, including the Senate now, U.S. Senate. And that all started in 1954 in Hawaii. And fortunately, my younger brother, Sam Kim, he is listed as number 19 because he was elected for 4 terms as a battleground public schools board member. I am listed as number 38, first being elected as Shoreline City Council in 2005, which made it possible for me to become the first Korean American female mayor in the USA. I am famous. In 2008. And then I was, of course, elected to the House of Representatives in the state in November of 2010. To get elected, get out the vote campaigns, they require a lot of work, especially in non-presidential years like this year, as well as next year. And so door-to-door campaigns, door knocking, by the candidate himself or herself is literally the most successful. And in Washington State, we have exciting opportunities to increase Korean American political power and visibility. For instance, the Martin Luther King Jr. County in Washington State is the 12th largest county in the USA, population-wise. And we have an opportunity this November to elect a Korean American to the council for the first time ever because a 3-term CTAC City Council member, Peter Kwon, and a first-time mixed-race Korean American, both have moved on to the November general election in a top 2 August election, which is super exciting for all of us. So there are increased opportunities for Korean Americans to be in office and for them to move up, hopefully, into higher office. But as you can imagine, that takes a lot of work, lots of years, if not decades, and support, of course, from the Korean American community at large. And just on a personal note, earlier this year, I did also announce that I was interested in serving in the state Senate because I want a better senator in that seat. So hopefully we'll have a Korean American woman in our state Senate as well.
Well, we wish you the best of luck on that. Now, I could feel how much you were excited when you were speaking about the November elections. Now, speaking of that, we hear that you were also a mentor. You were also a mentor of rising Korean American leaders as well. Why do you think that kind of support actually is important, especially for the younger generation?
Oh, absolutely. I think that is key. I started my political campaign for local city council, as I mentioned, with the help of my husband's Korean friends and 동창회. That's it. And so I did lose my first election, but I learned each time that I ran, whether I lost or won, I believe 11 campaigns so far. And so now I am willing to invest my time and share my thoughts with promising candidates, including the next generation of Korean Americans. My advice is always free. And so it is up to the candidate whether they take them or not. I've supported and have had conversations with CTAC City Council member Peter Kwon, as I mentioned, and also with Julie Kang, who is one of my constituents. Another candidate. She became a candidate when she ran for earlier this year to be appointed. She did not make it this time, but I have high hopes for her. And I think the important thing is that they both know I ask really hard questions. And those tough questions, I believe, helps them set realistic expectations as well as strategies to be successful in their campaigns. And once they win, actually it is just as important as to how they transition from being a successful candidate to being a successful and effective policymaker and politician, and to avoid common pitfalls.
Mm-hmm. So having you out there must be a very precious opportunity for many of the to-be Korean American politicians.
I hope so. And I offer it to them, but I will make them promise that they will never run against me.
Right. Now, let's also turn to the international front, Representative. The South Korea-U.S. alliance is growing beyond economics and security as well, like we've seen in the latest summit between the two leaders. Where do you think it should be headed next?
Yeah, I believe this is a crucial point. And I appreciate that Koreans recognize these soft aspects of what makes life worth living. And it's a priority, as we can see. And because my policy jurisdiction includes tourism, and I've led the Pacific Northwest Economic Region as both president and also convened a 5 member states and 5 Canadian provinces and territories at a summit earlier this year in Bellevue, Washington. We formed a regional tourism council. And that was timely because we have the 2026 FIFA World Cup men's games coming. And so we expect basically 6 Super Bowl-sized events in Seattle, Washington, and another 7 smaller, slightly smaller events to the north of us in Vancouver, British Columbia. And because tourism and leisure is my state's 5th largest industry, people will come spending the money and they will take home hopefully great memories as they visited, along with experiences of meaningful human connections and relationships that they build while they're visiting. And so it can, I think, help in diplomacy. And within the U.S. foreign policy paradigm, in the usual way anyway, which traditionally was based on law, that affects our policies, our plans, and our operations. And so I believe Korea and USA alliance must continue to evolve, as well as even though we have bumpy roads right now. So it's definitely been a pleasure to see Korea open its doors over the last few decades. And I meet people stateside who served in different capacities in Korea, from teaching English to working in a civil or military capacity in Korea. And they relay these experiences amazingly when they find out that I'm a Korean American, with a fond memory and as another way of connecting with me. And so it's been wonderful to have that kind of a, I guess, commonality and relating. And so with Korea deliberately and strategically increasing all things K, of course, with K-pop and K-dramas and K-language schools, as well as increasingly K-health and K-food and K-culture, I absolutely believe that Korea-US alliance will evolve in a positive direction with each and every person-to-person interaction and experience.
Wow, okay, that will be very great. But in order to do so, what kind of measures do you think could local lawmakers actually, do to help strengthen the alliance?
Absolutely. So local government is where policy meets its people. And for instance, the mayor of Hwaseong and his council president and council members recently came to visit the city of Seattle because they wanted to learn how Seattle deals with land use and zoning issues. And so this type of an exchange of ideas and conversations, I absolutely believe contribute to the U.S.-Korea alliance and relationships, even at the local level. And when issues arise about Korea, especially in the news, my legislative colleagues, they ask me with real concern how my relatives in Korea are doing. And so that becomes another opportunity for me to build a relationship with them, and increase their understanding of Korea, and absolutely at a personal level, because I can relate to them what my friends and relatives are going through. And in fact, another legislator led me to BTS being a thing. And she played their music for me, and that was the first time I heard. And she said it was because both herself and her young children love BTS. And so I think our stronger cultural and human rights connections are, the easier it will be for us to aim for an enduring state of nonviolence and security, both here on the Korean Peninsula and in the US. And so I absolutely believe human rights must be respected in both countries, and we must both be stable for prosperity of each of the countries. And we need both countries to collaborate on global challenges such as poverty, increasing environmental disasters, and of course disease.
Mm-hmm. Now, we had a very wonderful discussion, but before we let you go, we're kind of running out of time. But as the chair of the World Korean Politicians Council, why does global connection among Korean leaders actually matter? And how could it actually boost Korea's voice internationally?
Yeah, in fact, we're gathering this week in Seoul from all corners of the world, from CIS countries, Australia, New Zealand, of course, South America, and North America too. And that council we absolutely believe in networking. And so this year we have a theme of K-Power, global leadership, because we can both embrace our Koreanness and of course we enjoy our meetings together because we try to get together every year. And then we can go home refreshed as well as empowered, because even though we might be a mini UN, because we're all speaking different languages, and we will even have an election among us, and so there will be, I'm sure, speeches, just like we do at home. We actually bond really well together, and I believe the younger people go out for their second and third rounds for norebang and so on, which is just fine. I just make sure that they come back the next morning for the next session, right? So that kind of person-to-person relationship, as well as sharing our paths that are quite different from different generations, whether we're new in our adopted countries or several generations in, I think is very valuable in making sure that we don't feel so alone, because politics can be awfully lonely as well as being an immigrant.
Right. So that kind of global network could definitely elevate Korea's soft power and also strengthen community ties as well. Representative Yu, thank you so much for your time, for your insights, and also for your efforts to lead, connect, and inspire beyond borders. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so very much.
And that'll be all from us on Within the Frame tonight. Be sure to tune in again next time as we continue to explore the stories that matter. Until then, stay informed and engaged.